and welcome back to another video! Wow, I did not think that this was gonna do so well. I know 2,000 views doesn't sound like a lot to other YouTubers, but considering that this was one of my very first videos, I think it did very well. And, as promised, I will be shouting out some of the awesome peeps that stuck around to the end of my last video. Shout out to ToonMania25, Misty Angel Wolfdraws, Cyanity1017, I apologize if I didn't say that correctly, Erica the Fangirl, Chloe and Emily's World, and Tizuka Maya. Again, thank you to everyone who viewed my video on my Chuck E. Cheese O.C. Penny. It really means a lot that you guys enjoy me yapping about my silly little character. And speaking of silly characters, let's get into the topic of today's video. Does anyone remember Casper? Like, specifically the movie from 1995 with the CGI ghosts, wacky hijinks, and the weird amounts of swearing for a family film?
Doc called Carrigan. A b***h just like you.
Yeah, that was weird. Anyway, Ava, how does this relate to the video, you might be asking? Well, back in about March of 2024, when I was really getting into Casper, I had a really fat crush on one of Casper's uncles of the ghostly trio. This is Stretch, my beloved. He's so handsome. Aside from that, I wanted to make a little self-insert to self-ship with Stretch, so that's where Avira comes into play. And looking at her design now, it's just, it's so bad. But hey, this was 2 years ago, and a lot can change in that period of time. So, with my Casper fixation coming back recently, I thought it'd be fun to redesign Avira. So today, I'm going to be going over Avira's backstory from her life to afterlife, her redesign, and her relationship with the Casper cast. And without further ado, let's get into the video! And I'm going to be talking like this now because I'm not talking like that for like, God knows how long this recording's gonna be. Okay, so before getting into Avira's ghost form, I want to bring up how Avira was in life and how I wanted to portray that in her human design. So, I never really gave Avira an in-depth backstory, but I had started getting a vague idea of what I wanted for her when I started to redesign her. So, then I was like, wait, what if she was a farm girl, but also potatoes? What I'm trying to say is that Avira and her family are potato farmers living in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by a bunch of potatoes around the early 1920s. So I'd never really given Avira a full name when I'd first designed her. Like, her name was just Avira and nothing more. But then, like, I kind of really wanted to make her not just like a self-insert, like an actual full-blown Casper character. So I wanted to give her a last name. And I decided to give her the last name of Yorkley because there are these types of potatoes called the Duke of York potatoes. And I'm like, maybe that's the kind of, like, potatoes her family farms. Like, they're the York family and they farm the York potatoes. Like, I don't know, I just thought it'd be kind of cool, I don't know. Anyway, for Avira's farm look, I really wanted to go for that, like, vintage farm girl look of the 1910s and the 20s. But it's basically your basic button blouse with an overall jumpsuit over it. And the big bow in the back of her hair, honestly, I just remembered that, like, Apple Bloom from My Little Pony existed, and I really liked how the bow in her mane was used in her design, so I felt like that would strengthen the Avira silhouette. And honestly, like, how it came out, I really like how that looks in her hair. The bow is staying, y'all! Okay, on to Avira's other look. So, a major part of her story is that by the age of 18, she saves up enough money to move off of the family's potato farm and move all the way to the Big Apple. And why, you might ask? To become a star, of course. Not a movie star or anything. She's always just wanted to become a starlet that sings on stage in nightclubs or in theaters. She's always heard those gals singing them tunes on the radio, and it's been a dream of hers to be just like one of them one day. And over the following year, she's been looking for gigs to try out for, but unfortunately, because of the time period and the color of her skin, she's often rejected and flat out refused from auditioning, the poor girl. But, after months and months of looking, she suddenly sees an opening. An audition at an up-and-coming club, the Stork Club, which was an actual club from the 30s, so that's pretty cool. They were auditioning, looking for a young and up-and-coming starlet to be an opening act at an event taking place that weekend. Eventually, Avira ends up going and auditioning, blowing everyone out of the water, judges and peers alike, which leads to the other design in question, the dress. Oh boy, is it pretty tacky. So, I had an idea that, like, maybe the club wanted to brand her as a cutie from the country or something, like, since she probably told them that she came from Idaho, and this is New York, and maybe they're just like, holy cannoli, a person from Lake Country. And I like to think that when Avira's a ghost, she remembers in retrospect how, like, tacky and awkward the whole charade made her feel, but she never fully realized that the club was actually exploiting her rather than embracing her for who she really was. But I tried making it that classic Esther Jones Betty Boop style dress, but in the style of denim overalls. And I also tried making her garter belt colored like corn, I guess, because she used to work on a farm. I don't know if it makes sense, but this whole concept really doesn't make all that much sense, so, yeah. Anyways, here's Avira's human form. But Ava, didn't Avira end up as a ghost? How did she die? Well, let's get into that, shall we? Dun dun dun!
Stork Club experiences technical difficulties after recent showgirl starlet takes a deathly dive on stage in front of live studio audiences. Managers of the club say they recently hired the young girl after a casting call was put out to hire new performers for the local club. Staff finds that the girl's drink had been poisoned right before being set out on stage. Those who worked alongside the woman before her debut stated her as being naive yet lively, a perfect new addition to the stacked cast of the club. When prodded, the nightclub owner only had this to say: "The gal had a spunk to her. Too bad her talent was taken from us far too soon." Though the girl did seem frighteningly negative towards herself. Truly a shame. When reporters asked to press further, the nightclub owner left the scene in a rush. Police investigated the scene earlier today and had come to the conclusion that the gal had taken her own life before the show started. The gal was a homebody coming into a new space. Stage fright only comes naturally in these types of situations. The case has quietly been closed, and as of next week, a new starlet will be taking the young woman's place on stage. As of currently, club staff have been unable to contact the young woman's family, so if anybody with the knowledge of a young woman named Avira Yorkley, please contact the local police department to pick up her belongings.
Okay, so I originally wasn't going to include this segment in the video, but, like, I had never really done a photo bashing, editing thing like this, so I kind of wanted to include it in the video to, like, kind of explain my process. So, I really didn't know how to illustrate my own newspaper articles, so I looked online for some actual newspaper articles from, like, the 30s, and I figured I would edit it from there. So, I found this little newspaper article from the Sunday News, which conveniently took place in New York, so I didn't even need to edit that out. I would just have to edit out the date, pictures, and other text, but that really wasn't going to be a problem. And once the background was all blended together, and I got all the other things out of the way, I saved that, and then I ran that through my tablet's filters, and I set it on the mono filter. Opening Procreate back up, I started adding my images into the slots that I had erased out. The first one is a photo bashed image of Avira I had made. I'm going to put up a PNG of the full thing on the screen right now so y'all can see the full thing. This was like my first time photo bashing like anything. I've seen other people do it so much better than me. This looks like absolute butt, but yeah, I think it's alright for my first time. Moving right along. The second image is just something I had found from Pinterest. This image was actually already on a board that I had made for Avira, and I was just like, this already kind of looks like the scene of the crime. The hand is like kind of ambiguous. The photo is in black and white already, so I'm just like, boom, add to the newspaper. And the third image towards the bottom is just basically the Story Club itself. Surprisingly, one of the only good images I could find of it back in its heyday. And then, it was just off to writing the actual headline and contents of the article, which were all written by my good friend and friend of the channel, Peony! She's so cool. Is there anything my platonic my best friend can't do? But yeah, here's how I made the newspaper article. And now, I'm going to be discussing Avira's redesigned ghost form. Okay, so I feel like a big issue that I had with Avira's old design is that I felt like the design was doing way too much, and it honestly felt more like a Mary Sue self-insert than an actual self-insert that could feasibly work in the Casper universe. And hey, don't get me wrong, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with Mary Sue OCs or self-inserts, of course. I'm just a perfectionist, and I feel like my work could always be continuously improved on and such. But yeah, when redesigning Avira, I really tried to hone in on how some of the ghost characters were mainly designed in this universe. And from what I've seen from characters like Poyle or Miss Banshee from the Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper TV show, they're very simply designed and wear very minimal to little clothing. The only, female Casper character that I can, think of that wears clothing is Kerrigan, from the 1995 movie where she turns into a ghost. But I'm 99.9999999% sure that's because her form is a little too shapely to be seen as a ghost in the nude. I love you, Kerrigan. Anyway, I decided to take the less is more approach, and I really just wanted to focus more on her hair and how interesting that would make for a character silhouette, as opposed to adding clothes and colored hair like I did with her old design. Obviously, I'm still keeping the kinky curly hair though. Listen, I'm not like Vipsy Pop, and I don't take away my black character's features or melanin or curls the moment he touches hell after he dies. Anyway, not much more to explain than that, though. Like I mentioned before, she's inspired by Betty Boop, Esther Jones, and adjacent female figures of that era, so I really tried going for these, cute, big, baby doll kind of eyes, I guess, if that kind of makes sense. I also wanted to give her purple, almost kind of violet eyes to match Stretch's since he also has purple eyes, but purple is just also my favorite color, so yeah. But yeah, here's Avira's new and improved ghost form. I know it's a lot more simplified now, but I think it definitely expresses her character better. I mean, her hair looks like a little cloud. It's so cute! And now, I'll be discussing Avira's relationship with the Casper cast. So, to begin, we obviously have to start with the title character himself, Casper. Her relationship with him is pretty simple to cover, as she probably has the best relationship out of everyone with Casper. She's very kind and gentle with him, giving him a lot of sympathy, even if there are times where he doesn't deserve it. He usually does though, so it's deserved 99.9% of the time. She makes Casper feel a lot more grounded and stable, even if she can be just as kooky as Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky. At the end of the day, she does her best to be there for him and to show the guys how important it is to be kind to him. Skipping to the much more important character though is literally her man of the hour, Stretch! I'm sorry if that was too loud. For this, we'll actually be dipping a bit into the lore of my personal project, Casper 2, We Found Love in a Haunted Place. Stretch and Avira meet at a dingy bar in New York, and it was love at first sight. That is, after Avira revealed herself to be a ghost after being disguised as a human. How scandalous! Anyway, they soon begin a small romance, with Avira learning to trust him more after realizing that he's not all bitey. They go on dates, run around the city of New York, exploring new places, and new things in general. Who knew he could actually be quite sweet once she got to know him? But that was a somewhat prevalent issue in their relationship. That being, it took a bit to see the better half of Stretch until they spent more time away from Casper and the other members of the ghostly trio. The thing is, Avira doesn't particularly like how mean Stretch is to Casper. Actually, she really can't stand it. She tries her best to stand up for him, which usually gets the two into arguments. The issue is, Stretch has begun to have a better relationship with Casper due to the help already done with Kat and Dr. Harvey. But due to something that happens during the run of my potential movie, which, if you guys want a video going fully into detail about, I would heavily recommend liking and subscribing, it causes a rip between the two that ends up accidentally being extended by Stretch's newfound relationship with Avira, which she does admittedly try to amend, but only further gets torn apart by Stretch, Fatso, Stinky, and their own issues during the run of the film. All culminating into a scene where Avira and Stretch break apart for a while after he suddenly pushes her away from reaching Ascension. This puts a bit of a dent in their feelings, and really forces the two to confront their emotions in a way neither of them have ever done before. But in the end, it actually makes them a lot stronger as a couple, giving them a better understanding of each other and the concept of love overall. Obviously, there's a lot more ground to cover on this, but until then, hopefully this is enough to get you guys to understand. But, for a quick summary, I'll leave it at this. Avira and Stretch are very similar to a lot of couples of their time. They're complex, they're a little mismatched due to Avira being a shy, timid ghoul, and Stretch being a bit braggadocious scarer who wants the world to fear him. They tend to fight because of their differing lifestyles and how they both treat Casper, but in the end, they find comfort and safety in each other's arms. Now that that's through, let's get into Fatso's relationship with Avira. Obviously, as a bit of an artiste himself, Fatso admires a lot of Avira's ambitions and sees her as an incredible singer with a lot of talent to offer. I'd like to imagine if they became better friends and the sequel got a spin-off series, there would be an episode where Fatso becomes Avira's vocal coach and her voice literally becomes an uncontrollable powerhouse that needs to be stopped. And then she learns to control it and can sing classical opera like she's always dreamed she could. Yeah, admittedly, her relationship with Fatso is also pretty simple. He supports her for her artistic interests, and she definitely supports him for his. Although they probably butt heads over how he treats Casper, much like with Stretch, but otherwise, they get along very amicably. I could speak English! Now, Stinky and Avira, honestly, they probably have the least developed relationship. She definitely just kind of finds him gross, and even though she tries to be nice to him, I could see them having a little bit of beef. They also fight the most out of the ghostly trio, as while Stretch listens to her because he loves her, and Fatso listens to her because he respects her, the two have also seen Avira at her worst and are afraid of her but respect her. Stinky, however, yeah, he ain't got none of that. Not for Avira, at least. But that's not all the friends Avira has. She actually has two close ghost friends that she adores more than anything. Fiorella, more commonly known as Flora, and Dope. However, I think for the sake of this video's runtime, I'll just save those for when we, as in myself, Fiorella's creator Peony, and Dope's creator Conrad do a full video on Casper 2 Electric Boogaloo! That's not what it's called, but I really wanted to say that. And that concludes our video. I really hoped you guys liked learning about Avira and found her character interesting. Feel free to like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you found this video interesting, since this absolutely helps my channel grow so I can bring you more content like this. And if you guys are interested, I have an Instagram, TikTok, and Tumblr that you guys can follow. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, feel free to leave a cake emoji in the comments, and I'll be sure to shout you out in the next video. Anyways, stay sweet, my little cupcakes, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!